Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. There is an amazing and I think unprecedented migration happening in this country right now. It's not what you might think. It's actually the exodus of thousands, if not millions of people leaving the United States, seeking permanent residency in other countries. And a number of those people leaving are seniors who are leaving in order to live somewhere where they can afford to live on only Social Security, but have a decent lifestyle. Well, I've shared with you that I am going to be seeking permanent residency in another country. I won't be living there full time, but I do want it as a backup. And I have been promising all of you for a while now that I'm going to share with you what country I have chosen. So in today's video, I'm going to do that. But I'm going to also tell you what other countries I considered and why I eventually eliminated them. I will share with you a little bit about the process, but I'll do more of that in an upcoming video. Meanwhile, come on and find out what country I have selected and why. I will be referring to my notes so I don't forget any important information that I want to share with you. But I've looked and been studying this situation for probably close to a year now. I've looked in Africa, in Europe, in the Caribbean, in Asia, South America, Central America, and I narrowed it down to 8 countries. And I'll tell you what countries I initially narrowed it down to. That was Portugal, Albania, Vietnam, Thailand, Belize, Mexico, Panama, and Costa Rica. I eliminated Portugal because it was too far, and it takes 5 years of continuous living there in order to gain either temporary or permanent residency. And I didn't want to have to take 5 years. I also eliminated Albania because it was too far, and the weather can be challenging there as far as snow part of the year and very cold. And I didn't want to deal with that kind of climate. Also, I've heard, and from what I've read, learning the Albanian language is very challenging. So I wanted somewhere where I could learn the language and fit in with locals. Vietnam I also eliminated because it was too far and would take an entire day, 24 hours or more, to get back to the United States. And I wanted somewhere, if I needed to get back here quickly, that I could do that. Also, based on my research, now if any of my information is not up to date, let me know. But based on my research, it would take about 3 years as a temporary residence before even being able to apply for permanent residency. Thailand, the same thing, too far, and the language is difficult to learn, and it takes 3 years of consecutive living in the country. Now, Belize, I did really consider Belize because Belize is in a beautiful climate, and they also speak English, so that would have made it a lot easier. But you have to stay there for a full year, and you can only be gone for 14 days out of that year in order to get, I think it's temporary status. And I did not want to have to stay there a full year. The other place was Mexico, which I seriously considered Mexico because it's so close and would be easy to get back and forth between the United States. But in order to get permanent residency there, it takes 4 years. Costa Rica took 3 years. Now that was high on my list because Spanish, I know a little bit of Spanish. I think it would be easy to pick up conversational Spanish, but again, that eventually got eliminated. Costa Rica got eliminated because of the 3-year requirement. So that takes it down to my last choice, which hit all the bells and whistles, and that was Panama. So you know what? Let me go ahead and tell you what Panama has to offer and what my criteria is that Panama met. The things that I'm going to share are not necessarily in any particular order of importance, but all of these items were important to me, and in the absence of any of them, I would not have chosen Panama. Number one was I wanted somewhere that was safe for Americans, where Americans were welcome. And I also wanted somewhere where there was an expat community, where I could meet people, maybe be mentored by some people when I got there, establish connections with people before arriving so that I could find out, where are the best places to live, a good attorney, and other things that would be beneficial and helpful for transitioning and easing my stay there. And Panama has a very large expat community, both in Panama City and in an area, I think it's called Boquete. It's in the mountains, and in several of the beach communities. All of these have established expat communities of people who've lived there for a number of years. And some of these groups get together regularly. There is one group that even gets together monthly. They get together on the first Saturday of each month for a brunch, and it looks like at least 50 people attend that brunch. And they do church together online, and it just seemed like I would be able to mesh into that community. And they encourage you to reach out to them, and they provide help with information on maybe a driver to drive you around to places when you first get there. Also an attorney that they recommend in terms of helping you do the application process for residency, and even real estate agents to help you find a place to live. So that was really important, and that's already established in Panama, and that was a big plus for me. The next thing is one of the most important things. I wanted somewhere that I could get my permanent residency in a reasonable length of time, and I didn't want to have to remain in the country for a year or so to do it. And in Panama, with a Pensionado visa, my understanding is you can get that in an average of about 6 to 8 months. You have to be in the country to apply for it, but then you can leave. You don't have to stay there while it's being processed. And that was a bonus for me and very critical. The other thing, based on having to go back and forth to apply for the visa and then go back to pick up my visa card, I wanted somewhere that was easy to get to from the United States, particularly from where I'm located in San Diego County. And Panama meets that criteria. There are direct flights from the United States. Also, I could go into Tijuana and fly from there, or from San Diego, I can fly into Houston and get there, and it's within a reasonable length of time. It's not a 24-hour trip. So that was important to me also. The next thing that was really important, since I'm a senior, I'll be 73 this month, and I wanted somewhere that had excellent, not just so-so, but really excellent medical care should I have some major medical problems. And I wanted somewhere where not only were there well-trained physicians and facilities, but also where the likelihood was that there would be doctors who spoke English so I could communicate easily with them. Panama has a Johns Hopkins affiliated hospital that is very modern and highly rated. And that was very important to me. Also, I wanted somewhere where medical care was not uber expensive like it is here in the United States. And from everyone that I spoke to and the research that I did, the medical care there is very affordable. A doctor's appointment that might cost, or a visit that might cost a couple $100 here, there could be as low as $30 or $40. And just other things and factors that were very positive regarding the medical care available there. The next thing was the cost of living overall. As a senior who is retired and not receiving the kind of income that I used to receive, I needed somewhere that was affordable. And I wanted somewhere that was not nearly as expensive as it has become in the United States, because I would probably be renting, not buying, but renting a place there. So I didn't want to be paying a couple $1,000s a month for rent. And I found in Panama City, I could easily find an apartment for $800 a month. And if I went outside of the city and in some areas, I could find apartments, nice apartments, for as low as $400 a month. Also, the cost of groceries is very low compared to here. Now, that is if you buy local. Now, if you get things that are imported, it's much more expensive. But I also wanted somewhere that had good transportation. And Panama has, at least Panama City, has a metro. It has good bus service. It has all kinds of other transportation available. From one video that I listened to, a woman that's lived there for a while, she said she's able to get an Uber for only a couple of dollars to go 10 to 15 minutes away. So that was another factor, the cost of just necessities. The next thing that was important is that it has a currency that is American dollars. So I don't have to transfer things over, and that makes it so much easier. Additionally, my understanding is that Panama and the United States have, it's either an agreement or a treaty, but it allows my Social Security check to be deposited directly into a Panamanian bank, and it's in American dollars, so I don't have to transfer it over or do exchange rates or that type of thing. So it made that a lot easier. Another thing was that I don't have to pay taxes on income earned outside of Panama. Now, a lot of countries, you pay taxes in that country, but then you also pay taxes on any income earned outside of that country. So I would have had to pay taxes on my pension, on my YouTube earnings, on my earnings from Social Security. I don't have to pay those taxes if I move to Panama because they don't tax outside earnings. The other thing is good internet. If I'm going to be doing YouTube still while I'm there, I have to have good internet. And Panama has the infrastructure with good internet. That was very important. Another thing was, as I think I've already mentioned earlier, Spanish is pretty easy to learn, or it would be for me. I already know some Spanish phrases. Living in San Diego, I speak a little bit of Spanish. So that would make my transition so much easier also. I want to be able to speak the language of the country I'm in. And I'm already starting on taking Spanish lessons. So I think this will make the transition all that much easier too. I also wanted to be in a country that was economically stable, because the more economically stable a country is, typically, the less crime you have. And I wanted, as I already said, somewhere where I would feel safe for me and my daughter. Well, Panama has massive investment being made there right now. If you look, there's so many different apartment complexes and condos being built, modern ones. Also, with the revenue coming in from the Panama Canal, that feeds a lot into the economy. And I felt that the stability of the country, at least right now, was an attractive thing and something that helped me to feel safer there. Another serious consideration for me, which may not be for everyone, but I wanted somewhere that it did not snow. I did not want to be shoveling snow or be in snow part of the year. I wanted somewhere that there were sunny days, and I also wanted somewhere that had beaches. I love the water. I grew up near water. I'm in San Diego with beautiful beaches, so I wanted somewhere that had beautiful beaches. Also, I love the mountains, and Panama has both. Now, I am going to visit Panama before I apply for the residency, because I have heard that during the summer it can be very, very humid and it can be quite hot. So I'm going to make sure that I can tolerate that. I know one summer I was in North Carolina visiting, and it was so sticky and humid. I got sick and my blood pressure really went high and I had to leave. So I want to visit there during the summer when it's hot and humid to make sure that I can tolerate it. So we'll see. And I'll take you, of course, I'll take you along with me when I do that. But the last thing, and this is really a bonus that wasn't on my list, and that is they have something called the Pensionado visa. And that is one of, I think, the best visas in the entire world. You have to be over 18. If you apply under this visa, you cannot work in the country, but that's okay. I wasn't planning on working there anyhow. But it has so many benefits. You get a card, and that card, you just present it and you get so many discounts. I'm going to just share a few of those discounts with you. You get 50% off entertainment, like movies, concerts, sports events. You get 50% off hotels Monday through Thursday and 30% Friday through Sunday. 25% off restaurants, 15% off fast foods. You get 25% off your utilities, which includes electricity, water, and phone. 30% off certain transportation like buses, trains, boats, and 25% off air travel if it originates in Panama. Also, you get 20% off medical consultations, 15% off dental exams, 10% off prescriptions, 15% off hospital bills if you don't have insurance. I could go on and on. There's duty-free household goods sent there for up to, I think, $10,000 off of your first one. And you can have a car sent over every 2 years, duty-free. And there are just a number of benefits. Also, you can apply for citizenship after 5 years, but I don't think I'm going to do that, especially with what's happening here, where they're talking in the United States about eliminating dual citizenship. So I probably won't do that. But these are just some of the benefits. If you want me to do another video telling you some of the downsides, because even in paradise, there can be some problems, let me know and I will do another video sharing some of the challenges, but ones that I think are overcomable. But that's what I'm doing. That's the place I've decided. I've decided Panama is the place for me. And I will do a video if you want, walking you through the process, what you have to do, how you have to do it. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier in this video was about expat communities being able to help with attorney names and references. And that is because you need to apply for your temporary or permanent residency using an attorney there. But there's a whole process, and if you want me to go through that with you, I will do another video on that. Meanwhile, love each and every one of you. Come on and join us Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific for Glow Live. We're going to talk about some interesting things coming up this Saturday. And I just pray your journeys are filled with joy and blessings. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you next time. Take care.